Hello, fab foodies. Thanks for joining me again today in my dinner time prep kitchen. This is all you're gonna see of my face. You get to watch my hands and listen to my voice. So without further ado, here we go. Today we're making the creamy chowder. This one is another one found in the stay-at-home collection. It's one of our family's favorite meal solutions. You can see the nutritional information in the ingredients there. And again, as always, very straightforward ingredients list. This one does have milk right in the package, so you can use non-dairy milk in preparing the broth, but it's not going to be dairy-free. The first thing we're actually gonna do is get started with the harder root vegetables. So we are going to pre-cook them in the steamer. So right now I have 1.5 potatoes, like a big and a medium potato, and a sweet potato chopped up in there. I'm going to throw in some white beans. They've been pre-soaked. I use the white beans as a little bit of extra protein. The other protein that we're gonna actually use in our chowder is bacon. So I'm gonna show you a trick for that as well. So we're gonna chop in our carrot. I'm actually gonna cut it into smaller pieces here so that they cook faster. So I like adding this. Chowder is like an empty the fridge kind of dinner. You can put as many kinds of vegetables in there as you like. My kids all love the chowder, so I don't mind making it and throwing all kinds of vegetables in there. So the carrots I'm gonna throw into the steamer along with the potatoes and the beans because they're hard. The zucchini I won't. It will just go in to the pot with the bacon because it's zucchini. It's mushy to begin with. If we put it in the steamer to pre-cook it, it will just turn into goo by the time we're done. So that's our carrot chopped up. We're gonna throw that into the steamer. And we're gonna throw in a little bit of celery. The girls aren't huge fans of celery. This is one of my culinary nutrition tricks. This is the perfect way to store your celery. Cut the ends off and then keep it in a jar full of water in the fridge. It keeps it from getting limp and basically going to waste. And I'm going to show you something after that's pretty cool about the celery. So I'm only going to cut maybe 2 stalks. I washed it when I cut the ends off and put it in here, so you don't really have to wash it again. The girls aren't huge fans of celery, at least one of them isn't, so I don't use too much, but a little bit of celery is part of your mirepoix, so it just helps add flavor to a broth, a stock, a soup, a chowder, whatever you're making basically. Just give that a quick chop and throw that in. And then we're gonna throw it into the microwave. So to this, I'm adding a cup of our homemade vegetable stock. Again, I mention this all the time. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you should. Sorry, it's a little bit frozen there. Because I showed you how to make veggie stock with all of your dead ends. So stuff like these guys go in a bag in the freezer, and twice a month, maybe once a month, I make homemade stock. I'm gonna also add 2 cups of water, simply because the instructions on your chowder seasoning actually say to only add 2 cups to the steamer, but I'm doing 2 cups of water and the cup of broth because I have those beans in there as well as the potatoes. There's a lot of really hard starchy stuff in here, including the beans, so I want to make sure there's enough water for them so that they get the benefit of the pre-cook. That's the whole reason we're using the steamer at this point is that the 14 minutes in the microwave pretty much does most of the cook for you, so that you can add that directly to your stock pot with the rest of the chowder, and it's ready in less than 25 minutes. So we're gonna throw those guys in there and then start the heat here. Actually, no, here on the stock pot. And this is where I'm gonna throw in the bacon, so I'll be right back. Okay, so we use our true local bacon. It's nice and thick and delicious. My trick is scissors to actually get it into nice little pieces that fry up really well. Just throw them in there. Just chop, chop, chop. And then you get all these really great pieces, which you can see in there. So that's gonna start with the heat on it. So while that is heating up, I'm gonna throw in, so this is gonna be another one of my secret tricks. I haven't chopped up an onion. Again, I'm using a lot more vegetables than the basic recipe on the back of the package. So I'm gonna add a little bit of French onion dip mix right into the bacon so that it caramelizes with the fat from the bacon. So the French onion has a really rich, there you go, it says, add robust flavor. So I love the French onion because it does have that really rich oniony flavor. I'm gonna also put in a little extra black pepper. I always say it, but I wish you guys could smell what it smells like in here. While that's starting to heat, I'm gonna cut up the zook. Again, I love zucchini in all kinds of things. Most of the girls do. One of the girls, the same one that complains about celery and other things, complains about zucchini too. It's the same kid every time. It is what it is. So if you missed this one, this is our 4-in-1 spice spoon. It has a tablespoon on one end, a teaspoon on the other, and then when you flip the teaspoon, it's actually a 1/4 teaspoon on the other side. It's your 4 most common measures all in one spoon, so it makes it a lot easier than digging around in the drawer for a bunch of different spoons. And as you saw, it fits into all the jars. It does even fit into the skinny tops. You can get it right in there, as well as small jars. The mouth of the small jar is actually the same as the tall jar, but it fits into all of the jars so that you're not fighting with a round spoon and a round hole and a measuring spoon that's too small, basically, or too big, sorry, that doesn't fit into there. So once we get these guys chopped up, I'm gonna mix our actual seasoning mix here so that it has time for the flavors to really meld together. That's one of my favorite things about Epicure's mixes. Everything we prepare in our facility is freeze-dried. So there's no preservatives, there's no anti-caking agents added to them. And all you have to do to bring out their flavors is to add them to liquid. So like I said with the French onion, it's gonna caramelize with the fat from the bacon. The chowder mix, we're actually just gonna add to 2 cups of milk. So it's just gonna go right in there. And then the 10 or so minutes that we're waiting for the veggies in the steamer and the bacon to get nice and caramelized, it's just gonna sit and let all of the flavors in here come to life in the liquid there. I'm showing you all of these favorite tools of mine that you can't actually get from me right now. Okay. So we're just gonna let that sit. I'm gonna stir the bacon here. It's nice and steamy. as the bacon starts to sweat before it starts to crisp up and caramelize. One of my favorite things about making this chowder with bacon is that the whole house just smells like bacon for days, which maybe some people don't like, but we don't mind. So the bacon and the white beans are the protein that I'm adding. But our chowder mix is actually just a really great base for any cream soup. So cream of broccoli, cream of cauliflower, cream of asparagus, cream of chicken, cream of mushroom. This one, the actual instructions on here, you can make a New England clam chowder, you can make a salmon chowder, or use it as a base for a creamy fish pie. This is like, if you do a Pinterest search for recipes, and you come across like a crock-pot dump recipe that calls for somebody's can of creamed whatever, this is your go-to. So prep the base with the 2 cups of milk, and you can use this chowder mix as your cream of anything soup in any of those crock-pot dump recipes, which is pretty awesome. I love our ingredients list, right? That's why I would recommend using this as your swap out for a cream of anything tinned soup, simply because if you actually read the ingredients list on your tinned soups, you don't want to know what's in there. I mean, most people, maybe they just really don't care. But if you're like me and you're more concerned about the ingredients and what you're using, this is your... Sorry, I'm turning my vent on so we can get some of the steam out so I can actually see in here. If you're like me and you're a label reader and you're more inclined to worry about the ingredients, I find it funny, a lot of those crock-pot dump recipes claim to be like a 2 or 3 ingredient recipe, but one of their ingredients is this can of somebody else's creamed soup. Well, if you read the ingredients label on that can of creamed soup, there's 19 ingredients in there, and 17 of them aren't food. So this is your opportunity to make a better swap for a better ingredient in some of your comfort food favorites, right? Okay, and add a little bit of water so we can start to deglaze here, as the bacon has started caramelizing nicely. We have a couple minutes left on the steamer. Our bacon is looking caramelized. We've deglazed it, so I'm going to throw the zucchini in to start softening it. Favorite cutting mats, easy to pick up and move. All right. Zucchini going. Also going to throw in some frozen sweet corn. Frozen peas, so that they're up to temperature when we put our hot veggies from the steamer in there. Deglaze one more time. Just to get all of those nice caramelized, crispy bits of bacon fat up off the bottom. That really helps add a nice, rich flavor to your chowder, the bacon fat. And contrary to what we've been told for about 70 years, fat won't make you fat. It's actually the sugar that we eat that's making us fat these days. A little bit of bacon fat is good for your brain. Again, animal fats are saturated fats, right? Like avocado and coconut oil, they are fully saturated. There's no breaks in their chain, so they are designed to be assimilated easier by our bodies. Their fat chains look like our fat chains, the fat that makes up our DNA, the proteins that make up our DNA. So a little bit of fat is not gonna hurt us. The right kinds of fats, right? Okay, so you heard beep, beep, beep. We've got our steamer here. Oven mitts. The steamers do get hot. And the steam escaping is hot, so I'm gonna move this over here so you get a nice look when I open. I'm gonna open away so that the steam goes. You can see here, I'm gonna poke the carrots and the potatoes so that they're nice and fork tender, which mostly just lets us know that when we add all of this into, I'm gonna check one of those beans. They're tender. So what we've got here means that when I add this to the pot, most of the hard work of cooking is done, so that we don't have to wait another 2 hours for everything in there to soften and become chowder. So, then a nice stir. I'm going to put the lid on and give it a couple of minutes to come up to temperature and start to boil, so that when we actually do add our chowder broth mix and it starts to thicken, our chowder will be ready within minutes of adding that. So we are ready for the last part. You see, everything is nice down, so we're gonna throw in our chowder broth mix. Give it a quick stir after it's had a chance to settle while it was sitting there. Pour that in. Use our lovely saute spoon here to get every last drop of goodness out of that bowl. And then give it a nice stir. And allow that broth mix to just thicken up. Once it starts to bubble and thicken, you know it's ready to go. Okay, so we are ready to serve this delicious chowder. So I'm just gonna let you see, just look at how rich that is. Thanks again for joining me tonight, guys. I'm glad you could partake in our dinner prep, and here's to a delicious bowl of chowder.